Welcome back to Season 3 Pro League. The SPL continues with Week 3. We're going to start things off over in North America. Kevin will be joining me for the broadcast as per usual.
Enemy taking on Allegiance. Let's take a quick look at the games we're going to be seeing today. Obviously, we'll be opening up with North America this Thursday, and it's going to follow with Soar and Denial.
Soar and Denial will be up after Enemy and Allegiance. And finally today, we will get a grudge match. In my opinion, it's going to be an exciting one.
That'll be good.
Luminosity versus Eager. Where do you feel this is going to go?
I got to give the edge to LG simply because of how well they performed against Enemy, but Eager, they're no slouch.
Well, let's have a little look at the standings as well to see where everybody actually lines themselves up this season so far. 2 weeks in, and Enemy coming into the first game of today, top of the standings.
I mean, we talked about it on Esports Weekly. This is surprising, honestly. Enemy, I thought, was this team that was going to come in and be bottom of the barrel, especially with 3 new players, but they've looked really solid, much better than I had expected, than I think anyone had expected.
And then when you look at the rest down towards the bottom there, you can see Randozo still looking for their first win over in North America. Allegiance currently 1-3, and that's going to be our matchup today. Allegiance versus Enemy. 1-3, Allegiance versus 5-1 Enemy.
Both of these teams have faced off against Denial before. Both have gone 1-1, so showing a little bit of similarity, although the junglers were a little bit different. You know, there's a lot of switch-ups right now going on with Mass going to Envy, Skeelan switching from Randozos over to Denial. But Enemy, they're a really solid roster. I think Allegiance has a decent chance at winning a game here, and that's because of this solo lane matchup. Because one thing that Allegiance have really struggled with so far this season has been the laning phase, more specifically coming out of Mattypocket.
Right.
While his team fights have been phenomenal, he's been getting handled in most matchups and getting pretty far behind.
Well, the thing with that, though, is he's not really been playing traditional solo laners. I mean, we see Vimana out of him, but we saw Odin and some Kuang.
Really?
Where Marauder for Enemy, you know, he's run Bologna and Tyr for the most part.
Yeah, maybe going into more standard picks like the Bologna and Tyr, like Marauder has done, might benefit Matty a little bit more. Let's go into picks and bans, though, and see how this is going to play out. Enemy going to be first pick here, and Order side, and Allegiance, no surprise here, going to be playing Khaos.
Well, when you say no surprise, the reason for that is 4 games from Allegiance have been played so far this season. Every single one of them, they've been on the Khaos side so far. So they're choosing to go Khaos when they have the option, and the enemy's also putting them on Khaos too.
I think they like that counter pick option here. Enemy, they're going to start off with a soul ban. Allegiance going to respond with Bologna. I expect Odin to be taken out here.
More than likely, Odin will be played by either of these 2 teams. Enemy PainDeViande will pick that one up for the support role if he so chooses. And he's done it 3 times so far this season, and with great success.
Zeus going to be banned out away from Chaos the God. He's found immense success on, one of the few players to bring it forward heading into the season 3. And we've also most notably seen actually Zeus get a buff. The Aegis Shield no longer knocking back minions since the 3.6 patch. So something, I think, well targeted.
Generally just helps with wave clear more often than not, just to push the minions away. But Isis locked in, a dominant mid laner in the early stages. Allegiance going to go straight for the Athena here. And is it going to be Odin? But where'd you put him? Jungle? Solo?
I think I like the Athena, right? Because you're taking it away from PainDeViande. But it's going to be Thor instead. I don't see Enemy really not going Odin here. But in that same regard, Allegiance have already locked in their jungler, unless Mattypocket wants to play Odin. But like I said, that may be a pick that Enemy wants to bait out.
Very, very early Amaterasu pick here as well, coming out for Enemy. Already looking in their solo laner. Not really going to see it in the jungle too much, this god, just because of the early game. Very, very weak in terms of wave clear, and that's going to affect the jungle too.
Well, DaretoCare did play it in the jungle during relegations, but I mean, outside of that, we haven't seen it with any success.
Guan Yu picked by Enemy. I want to see an Odin immediately from Allegiance now. Guan Yu stuck inside the ring. Amaterasu stuck inside the ring. Isis stuck inside the ring.
I agree. I really think Odin is the perfect pick here. The problem is, though, you're putting it on Mattypocket, who, like I said, has been struggling. Odin, it's very easy to kill him in lane, specifically with the Guan Yu. The Guan Yu just has to avoid the bird bomb in lane, and then he can immediately start pegging him down.
However, if Guan Yu's in the solo lane, where'd you put Amaterasu?
Oh, yeah.
So I guess it's going to be Guan Yu support him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't even thinking about that.
Amaterasu versus Odin in the lane should be okay.
You could see Guan in the jungle, though.
I can see that too.
And Varizial has actually showcased a very deep god pool. He's already played 5 gods in 6 games. Only Thor played twice. So putting him on this Guan Yu in jungle isn't that bad of an idea. We actually saw Cognitive Gaming last season run this a lot with a Hell in the mid lane instead, and really this sustain-oriented composition. Guan Yu jungle isn't bad.
And to be fair, that could be Athena solo as well, thinking about it even more. We could see the Athena solo. Odin support is an option there. Carly banned away for the jungle option. They expect that Guan Yu is supporting Amaterasu solo because they banned Carly there. Giannis banned out by enemy. They don't want to have to deal with that.
Fenrir going to be taken out, so Allegiance not expecting the Guan Yu to be jungled clearly, locking out some of Varizial's gods. While we haven't seen him on a Fenrir yet, I'm assuming he's been playing it in scrims if they're going to respect ban that.
It's surprising to see if we're going to see that Guan Yu support for enemy, because so far this season we've only really seen Odin, Athena, and Geb come out of PainDeViande. And PainDeViande, he likes the aggressive gods though for the most part. He likes the engage for his team.
Capri's like the only one that's defensive.
That's
but
true.
Honestly, he gets blink on it sometimes, and he'll be very aggressive. Apollo going to be locked in.
And you mentioned just then, Kepri still up on the table for both sides. Not going to be picked this game more than likely with the compositions we're seeing. Is this the first game we don't get to see a Kepri pick a ban? I think he was like very high.
He's been 100% so far. I mean, it's still possible if they want to put the Guan Yu in the jungle, but there's no way that's happening with Al Kuang locked in. So yeah, that's going to be an Al Kuang jungle, a Guan Yu support, and they're just looking for their hunter.
Probably an Anhur, I want to say here, an old. You're looking for something with a leap to get away from the danger of the Odin ring, and there you go. The Anhur is the final pickup for them. Enemy definitely have a lot of sustain in this composition. Obviously, with the Isis, with the Guan Yu, even Amaterasu has healing for herself as well. Al Kuang with the ultimate, he can heal. So 4 members have healing in some way.
Allegiance looking for their last pick here, more than likely going to be their mid laner. So Chrono's still open. We have seen Lassiz play it before. He really likes this god. The problem is it's a little bit worrying against Al Kuang, and he's going to go to the Poseidon.
I think the Chronos there could have been an interesting one. Yes, it's weak against Al Kuang to an extent, but the late game seems a little bit on the frail side in terms of output of damage. They're going to be relying heavily a lot on the Apollo. Odin, technically, his damage, it doesn't fall off, but it's not going to be as impactful as it goes on.
No, it falls off.
He's got damage.
Okay. Bird Bomb at level 2 or 3 or 4, that's half-lifing players. Bird Bomb at 30 minutes in the game, not so much. It tickles them. And while you will have max CDR, Odin late game's more about kind of using your cage for utility as best you can. Taking a look here, Apollo has actually gone into Throwing Dagger, something that we've started to see rise. This recently received a buff where you're now clearing waves much faster because of it.
And surprisingly, PandaCat, he's got a Transcendent start on the Anhur. We've seen Anhur starting to pick this one up quite a bit lately as well. Just because you can save your Impale then for actually dealing and looking for a kill potentially or defensive usage. But going to be going for the Transcendent start here. Wave Clear's going to be relatively even between these two teams in all fairness, at least in the duo lane.
I would have to give it to Guan Yu.
Just because the sustain of the conviction?
No, it's just Guan Yu on her. Like, their clear is just better. Apollo really lacks in clear with just his abilities. Obviously, the Throwing Dagger is there to kind of help that out. Looking at the starts, though, Al Kuang Amaterasu actually starting over here at these mid camps.
Yeah, going to start the mid camps and then go straight for the blue. I guess they didn't expect the possibility of the Odin Thor invasion here. I would have expected to see, actually, Allegiance look for the invade at the beginning of this game. Just because of the Odin Thor, they have the aggressive early game, and that's definitely something Al Kuang Amaterasu cannot do.
Mid lane here, both teams focusing on clear. Isis and Al Kuang actually very strong clear here. Varizial actually going to take a little double tap though.
But now because of this, they're going to see a contest over those mid harpies on the left hand side. But PainDeViande under a lot of pressure here by the Apollo and Athena. Ocean's going to get credit for first blood. Surprise! They must have got to lane just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened there. The Odin or the Guan Yu on her should have the spear clear, but. It looks like we're going to go into a quick pause, guys. We know there are some audio issues.
Just gonna get those fixed up for you now. So already, how is that even possible? We saw Anhur, Guan Yu, and Isis get to lane later. Did they get to lane later?
I don't know.
We were looking at the other side
we didn't watch. Honestly, I wasn't watching, so it's hard to say. That's definitely a misplay coming out from that dual lane of enemy, though. That is not anything that Allegiant should have a lead on unless they really misplayed it. To be fair, though, they actually did start those left side harpies, so a little bit of, or excuse me, it was right, so never mind. So that doesn't count.
So that doesn't count either.
How did they get there? What happened?
We'll have to
I
check
want to know what happened
Just
there.
if the back harpies are up when we go back into the game, because that could be a little telltale sign of maybe they chose to lose a little bit of experience to get into lane. Big thing there, though, is you said Anhur and Guan Yu will have dominance in that lane
They do.
early. Now they don't, because Apollo and Athena will have that level advantage because they're going to be able to push another wave in, potentially, and put them on the defensive for a while. Keep an eye out for potential invades now.
So looking at their composition as a whole, you mentioned it, kind of the later this game goes, the better enemies really looking, especially when they get that Kuang online. Guan Yu as well. We've seen a lot of these teams reset team fights, and not only is Guan Yu good in overall, where you're resetting these team fights, you're healing up your team, you're keeping everyone fresh, but it's also good against this comp specifically because Allegiance don't have this damage late game. It's going to be really reliant on that Apollo, and we haven't really seen these crit builds come out.
Now, Apollo did get the first kill as we just saw, but the other thing to notice about this is Lassiz needs to have a very good game in mid lane. If they focus Lassiz early, generally when a Poseidon gets behind you, he'll go for more utility build for CC with the Gem of Isolation and not go for the heavy burst. He needs to go heavy burst here because they're going to lack that late game.
But Poseidon really has this weakness, unlike other mages, where when he gets behind, he tickles players. The Kraken is the majority of his damage,
That's
and
true.
if he can't really position himself well enough because his front line is behind as well, if they have to dive in or try and force something or they're on their back foot, it is much harder to line up a really well-placed Kraken. And so if this Poseidon gets behind, it will be bad for them, but for now, it's only been that dual lane that's got ahead.
It's true. And most of the mages, as you'll see, like for the most part, they've got multiple ways to deal consistent high damage. Poseidon's not one of those. He's controlling with the cripple. He's got the wave surge for the extra damage too, but that's not that easy to land and it's slow moving. And it's all about the Kraken. So if you don't connect it, you can have a bad time. Take into account they've got a Guan Yu and an Isis with circle heals there. If Guan goes into meditation later on as well, that Kraken's not going to be
he actually started meditation.
Oh,
I'll be interested to see if that was used or if PainDeViande thought he could out-juke there. I would imagine if he had meditation, he would have stayed alive.
I guess.
I don't know. That's all right. We're gonna find out here shortly, guys. The problems are almost fixed.
Getting fixed with that, but the way this game's going already is a good start for Allegiance, but they have to continue this start more than anything else.
They definitely need to look to snowball the game. They obviously have the Odin ring to keep players out if they want to look for those early gold furies, but that's going to be really dependent on Mattypocket. Mattypocket, though, like I said, I think he has a good matchup because he's up against an Amaterasu who can't really bully him early. He should have control of this lane, and that's the most important thing for Allegiance is getting Mattypocket out of this early laning phase, which he has so far struggled in early in the split, and getting him into the team fight phase where he clearly excels.
And that's a big thing there. Odin, very good in the early game, able to control the lane up against Amaterasu, which, to be fair, doesn't have too much lane pressure.
No,
the person I've seen have the most lane pressure with that is Snoopy, but we're back in game again. We should be able to watch over this first blood one more time. They actually got to lane at the same time, so let's watch this through.
So PainDeViande, oh wow, that was just very quick clear. Varizial, or excuse me, PandaCat honestly was the one there, a little bit scared to use his impale to clear the wave, and PainDeViande, he burns his meditation and everything. His dash was down. That was PandaCat for me. He was scared to walk up into that lane.
Didn't manage to do anything between the pair of them, so Allegiance ends up getting first blood, putting themselves in a very good position right now. We're due back into mid lane. We saw that they pretty much cleared this wave evenly and headed over for the mid Harpies.
I think Varizial takes a double tap to the face here in a second, but left-hand side Harpies are going to go in favor of Allegiance unless enemy contests, and that looks like they are. But look at this. The rotation is coming in from Incon early, and he has a ward. Oh, Varizial.
Oh, the taunt as well is going to connect extra damage onto him. Now Khaos is at all times of trouble. With that slower play, they may be able to find a good poke from Varizial, though. Spirit Ball saves the day. And he will survive for now.
Varizial's mechanics just saved his life there. We actually saw the Whirlpool go down just half a second too late. Varizial was actually able to get that water illusion off. If that Whirlpool had been down any sooner, he would not have been able to get out. He would have been crippled. He would have been taunted by Incon, and that would have been first blood. So really quick reaction time from Varizial there to keep him alive.
But there's an invasion now from mid lane from Allegiance, looking to the back Harpies, looking to put more pressure on Khaos.
I like this.
Trying to hang around there and look to soak more experience before going back to base. Remember, Purification was used, so it's a 2-minute power play for Allegiance in this mid lane. So they can get a little bit more of a lead with Thor, with Krakens. That could be a dead Isis very soon.
Oh, you see the pings go out. I really like that rotation coming out from DaretoCare, but it is going to be pretty read by enemy. Left-hand side, PandaCat looks like he's got control of this lane again, and this is what I expected from the Anhur Guan Yu, to control this lane, even giving up first blood, which is normally a detriment, actually able to wrestle back control.
So we saw DaretoCare rotate over there, look for a bit of pressure onto Marauder. Marauder wisely just used his ultimate there.
He didn't care.
He's not going to have it available now, unfortunately, though, for a little time. Mattypocket does still hold his, however, in this, and they could have looked for the full commit. Instead, they're just going to take the small win for now and probably wait for Dare to get his ultimate online and potentially look to gank there. So already, DaretoCare has two options. He can look towards mid, where Khaos does not have his beads available to him for the time being, or they can look towards the solo lane.
So even though Allegiance actually got ahead, you can see DaretoCare and Lassiz just hitting level 5 because of that rotation from DaretoCare. They looked for the ganks instead of trying to control the early camps and get the experience lead. Honestly, if DaretoCare was level 5 and Lassiz was level 5 there, we could have saw Dare ult into mid. But the problem is they weren't able to get the experience they needed fast enough.
Aggression to Marauder again, so he's going to use the option to just dip into the jungle back to safety and continue farming. The whole plan of Amaterasu in the early game, just farm up, stay safe, try not to give up too many kills or fall too far behind.
So this is funny, I think, because like I said, Allegiance, they really need to get Mattypocket out of the laning phase, which this is a good matchup for him to get out of the laning phase. The problem is, the matchup is very in favor of Amaterasu coming to the late game. She's so effective in team fights. She has so many options, not only burst damage, but control as well with dazzling offense, as well as these massive auras to help her team out.
First trip back to the base for the solo lanes has happened. Warrior Tabby online for both of them. However, Marauder uses teleport to get back to lane and push a wave into tower, which Mattypocket was not available for there. He was doing his blue buff instead. So a little bit of an experience lead actually for Marauder now over in the solo lane.
It shouldn't be too much. Yeah, okay, so it's probably about like just a
Oh, ganking mid lane from
level.
Thor. He just ulted in there, but they didn't find any pressure.
Oh,
now
Pain.
it's going to get turned around on Spirit Ball. Connects with DaretoCare, has to purify. Athena ult comes in. Kraken defensively used, and there's a meditation coming out from enemy. Re-aggression from Incon.
That meditation might have been key there, but Oceans comes crashing down, enough damage to finish off PainDeViande. Incon finds that kill, and now Allegiance, they're pressuring in the mid lane. I liked that turnaround from both teams. Look at this, though, Varizial, very low.
Look at this, though. Ocean's actually going to stay in the mid lane and continue the pressure with 4 members. He lost a wave to the tower on the left-hand side with this rotation, but they're making it pay here, Allegiance, looking for an early tier 1 tower. And with this composition they've got, they really need to exploit this early game, and they're doing so well with it.
Allegiance playing beautifully so far. Phenomenal rotations coming out from Oceans as well. PandaCat was still stuck over in the dual lane, and that was honestly the damage that PainDeViande didn't expect. We haven't seen Apollo in the meta for a very long time, and with this throwing dagger buff, he's starting to creep back in, and because of that, honestly, you're not expecting these ultimates. It's just not something that normally happens, because even at this low of a level, the mana cost coming out from the ultimate is way too much. Because Oceans normally, if he doesn't have full mana, couldn't even make the trip over to the left lane into the mid. Instead, he was actually coming out of base and had a much shorter trip.
We actually saw enemy then looking for a potential gank. Varizial spotted out DaretoCare back in, which gave the game away, so they couldn't look for the pressure onto duo lane, which they were after, especially knowing Oceans had just used his ultimate for that big rotation. Allegiance in a good position here. Enemy still looking for the pressure on this left-hand side, as we're going to get a quick pause as well in this one by Incon. So a good situation right now for Allegiance early game. Their comp towards the late game, we said it's going to struggle, but they've got off to a great start.
1,500 gold lead for them off of only 2 kills, which means they're controlling the jungle as well. Despite that, hitting level 5 a little bit later in that mid-jungle combo, they're clearly having, they clearly have a lead, and I really want to see DaretoCare pressure this out. I don't want to see him drop and fall off, because like you said, the later it goes, the harder it gets. Honestly, win the game without even needing the solo laners to rotate. Win the 3v3, win the 4v4 now, especially because Oceans not only has a kill, but an assist to his name as well.
Realistically, I'm excited by the fact that we can see Odin rotate, but this Gold Fury call coming out from enemy is a fantastic one yet again. Communications on point. It's the shot calling that's key, and objectives is the main focus. They trade in the end a tier 1 for a Gold Fury.
Enemy are the absolute best team at Gold Fury control. Not only the old roster, but this roster as well. They have so many snuck Gold Furies. I don't have this stat, but I kind of want to go back and find out how many Gold Furies that they've snuck pre-10 minutes uncontested, where the other team doesn't know, or when they realize it, it's a little bit too late. That was a beautiful call coming out from enemy, and it's going to get them right back in the game. And now DaretoCare actually trying to force something, and PandaCat just scares them off.
To be fair, for something he did, he got the Desert Fury for free off PandaCat there, who did a good job of defending himself over on that side. Enemy just abused the situation. They saw DaretoCare back, he'd already used his ultimate. Poseidon just used his as well, so that was still on cooldown at that moment in time. So they made it worthwhile for themselves, keep themselves in this game and keep it relatively close.
Marauder over here has that slight experience lead on Mattypocket still. You can see he's halfway, actually 3/4 of the way over into his 11th level. So Mattypocket pretty far behind. He'll be able to get his blue buff now, but Marauder now has wrestled back control of this lane as Mattypocket, just trying to steal his blue, or secure his blue, excuse me.
Marauder's wrestled control by using his teleport. We saw Mattypocket hold his teleport in case of an early Gold Fury. Now Marauder's teleport is back up, and the Gold Fury went the way of an enemy anyway. Marauder also has the experienced lead. Invasion from Allegiance, they're going to steal away the blue buff. Ult from Marauder to try and keep Incon in check here and keep him over for a rotation. But by the time the team turns up, the wall comes down from DaretoCare, and they all walk away happy. Allegiance with a good job.
That is not easy to do. When two players are stacked very close together, hitting that wall in between them and making sure they're both on the opposite sides. I don't think Incon was going to die there, but you did see Isis actually coming out of base. Right-hand side, we actually have 2 rotations as not only Incon here, but so is Varizial.
Yeah, they're still fighting onto Marauder here. Doesn't have his ultimate available, ring available
Matty.
for DaretoCare, but there's an execute coming out. And he didn't expect it till it was a little too late. Varizial gets first kill on the board for enemy.
Marauder fiercely fighting 1v2 because he knew he wasn't actually 1v2. A little bit of emote spam there as his victory dance goes off.
Celebration.
That's his victory dance, man. He didn't even, that wasn't even him though. That was Varizial needed to have the emote there.
Well, back to the hunt as we go. Golden Bow, only rank 2 still as Thor comes crashing down. PandaCat telegraphed that perfectly, and he's still alive for now. Not going to get taunted out thanks to the purification. Ability usage was on point, but maybe no, Oceans won't have enough damage with the so beautiful.
Reach! Oh, the knockback. Beautiful coming out from PandaCat. Now Varizial's rotated in as well. He doesn't have his ultimate, and I'm pretty sure Allegiance are going to be walking out of here safe. But another failed gank attempt from DaretoCare.
Yeah.
That's the 3rd one we've seen go unsuccessful.
That's twice onto PandaCat, though, who's defended himself 3v1 twice. Relatively well, to be fair.
Everything was perfect.
Invested into Ninja Tabby here. How do you feel about that?
It's a DPS increase. It's when the boots first come out, it's I think Warrior Tabby a little bit stronger, but basically once you get chin size online, you're actually doing more damage per second, although that's very reliant on hitting your autos. Obviously, your abilities are going to do a little bit less damage, but clearly not something that PandaCat's worried about. And Varizial, he's the one who's found the successful ganks once again, looking for Odin, but he's on top of a ward.
Yeah, he was looking for more pressure over onto the solo lane Mattypocket, trying to abuse his get Amaterasu even bigger in this game. DaretoCare now responding, coming over himself now.
They're both
There's
on
a ward
wards.
down.
Everyone's on wards.
So they both know what's going on. You can see the mid lane is even considering rotating there as well, but they may just head back now.
There's been a lot of attention over the solo lane, not something you see too often. Most of the times, teams leaving their warriors to kind of just face tank each other for 15 minutes. DaretoCare actually looking to fight, but just teleports over the wall, and I think was a little bit too late.
The wall was nice, but the Whirlpool was already down was the big key there. If the Whirlpool was in the middle, they definitely would have looked for a Kraken opportunity there potentially. And talking about Kraken, no Sanctuary for anybody on the side of enemy. They're not worried about that.
Not at all, but Pain, he might have to. He's going to fall into this engagement. Khaos trying to turn it around, puts out a little bit of poke. Oh, but PandaCat with the rotation. Desert's Fury on point.
Yo, PandaCat is on fire right now. Incon will be in trouble here because his target that he was looking to go to is already dead. They're trying to turn it around with Ocean's rotation, knowing they will pick it up. Ocean's trades out PandaCat, who got the double kill, and now a double kill for the other Hunter. Ocean's gets one. Varizial cleans up Incon, and Ocean's realizes he should just limp away now with the result of that one. What a great play.
3 for 3. Ocean's coming in and saving that team fight for Allegiance. Actually, let's go back and watch his double kill. Here's him ulting over, and this is just really well placed.
Already cleaned those up, but as soon as he gets to the fight, he sees exactly what's going on. Focuses on PandaCat.
Oh, he eats both of them.
He knows the abilities are down is the big key, and he needs to support his frontliner in Incon. Turns his attention to Khaos, and the minion block paid dividends there for him as well.
Really well played, and honestly, Ocean's putting out some pressure again, and he's the one for Allegiance that's been on point. 3-0-1. This is the Oceans that, honestly, we've been waiting for.
Well, it takes a while to warm up. You know, he's got a God pool. He's shown it before, but finding this Apollo, the early kills probably set him up nicely, and now he's in a position with the Ickfal on that trip back to base, already working towards Chins. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But, hey, before we carry on talking about Oceans, PandaCat's rotation.
PandaCat, I think, for me, has been the best player in this game. Yeah. Not only with that rotation picking up a double kill, the only misplay he made was he actually jumped in place trying to knock up Incon about a second too early. But then even on the left-hand side, he read DaretoCare's gank. Yep. He avoids it. The second Athena comes crashing down, he uses Desert's Fury to immune any instant taunt, and then after his Desert Fury is done, he still has Purification up, and then as Incon tries to come in for the reach, he impales him back into the tower. beautiful play coming out from PandaCat. It's these rookies right now that are showing up in this match.
Well, PandaCat's been around a while. He might not be a rookie, but he just didn't get to play last season. Was a big talking point. Visham stepped in for him in the end. PainDeViande picked him up, and now, well, back to PandaCat we go.
Gold Fury again.
Good performance. Gold Fury started once more by enemy. This time, though, I think Allegiance have an idea this is going on, and Kraken is available from Lassiz, so they're just going to be a little bit more careful this time around.
Lassiz actually investing into a Divine Rune early. We didn't notice that at first. I kind of expected it to be maybe a Polynomicon or something else. Mid lane.
Anti-heal's important, though. Like we said, 4 members of the team have self-healing.
This early, it's clearly against the Isis. He wants that ultimate to be a little bit less effective.
Realistically, though, it's a cheap item. It does give you a power spike, gives you some sustain as well, and the anti-heal early on. Especially when there's a meditation on the other team. You want to probably get it early to make sure those Krakens actually make an impact.
Enemy, though, continuing here, trying to bait this Gold Fury.
Marauder's
they want to fight,
though, and Marauder almost caught out of position there. Gold Fury still not down, still not even started yet. Taunt was used by Incon. You saw cavalry charge by PainDeViande being used, so that's one of their major engagements.
Pain was as good as dead if he didn't use that ultimate there. Really well timed from him, and honestly, Incon as well, looking for PainDeViande a little bit out of position, and that's something that Pain has to worry about. So Pain actually goes into that sovereignty, which means he doesn't have any magical defense, and we saw him get, honestly, just blown up in the middle lane, and I think that's something that Allegiance knows right now, is that PainDeViande is not very tanky against this magical, and that's who they want to focus. Athena as well, honestly, Shield Wall does a lot of damage, so both of these abilities combined, and PainDeViande's going to flop.
And when you talk about PainDeViande, you've got to look at Incon too. The other support there, Hide the Urchin online for him early on. He's gone for the option to make sure he can weather the storm of both magical and physical, because obviously he's going to deal with both this game up against, well, to be fair, PainDeViande, as long as he avoids Krakens, he should be okay.
He's fine.
With the sovereignty.
Yeah, later into the game when he gets magical defense, he'll be able to tank a lot of things, and that's something enemies going to want, right? They're going to want Allegiance to dump as much as they can into PainDeViande, because not only is he going to be able to heal, but they also have the Isis ult as well, so a lot of protections.
And he's also, with that sovereignty now, 30 protections, physical protections to his whole team, which will really help against Oceans, who's in a good spot right now. DaretoCare on the Thor, and eventually Mattypocket when he comes over with those bird bombs.
Looks like neither team really trying to force anything. Again, you can see after PainDeViande's ult was forced, enemy stopped even trying to bait this Gold Fury. All we see right now is kind of the ward battles going back and forth. Lassiz, the only one with the Sentry Ward up, so that means Allegiance do have vision control of the Gold Fury for now until someone backs.
Talk about relics coming online now because we're starting to hit level 12 to 14. Sprint online for Marauder this time. Meditation in response by Mattypocket, however. He's looking for the sustain. Normally we see blinks, but meditation, I guess you want that in this composition somewhere. So he's the one that's gone for it. No blink engages from an Odin, though, with the ring.
What I like, though, is the fact that PainDeViande, he just bought Shell, recognizing that he's been getting pressured. He's the one Allegiance is focusing. Make sure he's a little bit tanky the next time that Kraken comes out. So a little bit of safety coming out from him. Yeah,
itemization for both teams very, very good so far, especially in terms of relics. We've spoken before about some people overlooking anti-heal. We've got a curse online already, a divine ruin as well. So clearly, you know, Allegiance very aware that the heals could become a factor in this.
I wonder how Allegiance are going to play their comp heading into this mid and late game. Obviously, early game was about pressuring with the 3v3 that they had with the Kraken.
And he's going to get caught out in an awkward position. Yeah, has to use the cavalry charge again. He was trying to de-ward at the Gold Fury and forced to use his ultimate another time. So that's going to slow down once again enemy looking for a Gold Fury attempt. Maybe
I think this is fine, because honestly, the later the game goes, the more like enemy's composition. Not only is Guan and Isis going to be really useful for protecting the team, but honestly, Marauder, Amaterasu coming online in the teamfight, Kuang as well can blow someone up. PandaCat.
Purification forced to be used. DaretoCare did get off the double tap, but the Impale was on point for Panda. Now re-engaged from Varizial. He was looking for Thor. They're not going to have the damage to burst him down, though. You saw the Desert Fury used by PandaCat trying to get him in range for the execute.
A little bit of miscommunication, though. Just barely out of range. That was a really beautiful play, but it
I think it was more the shell. Happen. The shell was the big thing there coming out from Thor. The shell actually stopped some of that damage coming out. Now they're going to go for the Gold Fury, though. Incon's there. Thor is in the sky. He should have been spotted by Varizial. Varizial going to execute one just to take him up into the sky, not to find the kill. Gold Fury is still alive. Gold Fury finally goes down the way of enemy, and Odin is here and got one in the ring.
You can see Khaos. He's surrounded by 3, but honestly, it's Allegiance trying to get out. Khaos going to try and turn it, but he's stuck in that tidal wave, and he'll be knocked back. Now Marauder going to pop sprint trying to get away. Mattypocket, no cage. Marauder should be safe, but enemy, they pick up the Gold Fury. They lose, though. Now they have a window of
Tier 2 mid.
opportunity. They need to take something. The game is dead even.
Tier 2 mid is the call I'd be looking for here. Doesn't look like they're going to do that, though, because they're all hanging around. They all went straight up for those minions. Nope, they are going to push mid now. Varizial, Marauder, the only two alive. PainDeViande dead for another 8 seconds before the next respawn of a member of enemy. So a Tier 2 tower falls, which will trade out that Gold Fury. Varizial, though, around the side. He's looking for something here, you know.
He's got no ultimate. He's fine. He's just trying to clear the minion wave and back out. So what happened in that Gold Fury fight was that actually the Gold Fury got reset. The ISIS damage, I'm not sure if it went off on the Gold Fury, but at the very least, it wasn't enough to secure it. And because of that, you could see the squishies of Varizial getting pressured early. He actually had to back out of the fight. He was fighting, I believe it was DaretoCare off to the side. And then two of enemies' members had to go back in because the Gold Fury was so low, they didn't want to concede it for free. They were able to secure it, but those two players immediately got blown up.
That Gold Fury was just too close. Too close for either team. Either team could have taken that one in an engagement in the end. Luckily for enemy, they got that. Otherwise, Allegiance would have come out even bigger. They would have got a tier 2, 3 kills, and the Gold Fury itself.
Here's the worrying thing about enemies' composition is while they have a lot of damage, they don't really have a lot of control. Not instant direct control, right? You saw Varizial use his ultimate just for a knock up there, not even trying to execute a player so they could guarantee the secure coming out from Gold Fury. Marauder, his stun is a 3-step process. Outside of that, he has a silence, which isn't that easy to hit. Khaos obviously has a stun in his kit, but then PainDeViande, it's a wind up for his ultimate. It's just not a lot of direct, instant, hard CC. And
when you talk about it too, they've only got 2 frontliners here. They've got Guan and they've got the Amaterasu, that's it.
And neither can really peel.
So they've got to, they're the 2 engage as well for the fight. You're going to see Amaterasu go with the ultimate or Guan with the ultimate, go for the aggression, and the team will follow up. If they go on cooldown or they get picked off, they basically just have to sit back and expect Allegiance to try and exploit that.
Which is what we saw twice there, where PainDeViande actually had his cavalry charge burned very early. The first time obviously resulted in nothing, but that second time the fight still happened. If he had that up, maybe the fight goes more in enemy's favor.
As builds continue, they're looking for a gank in mid lane on Marauder. Not going to find it there, but Ocean's over it in the duo lane, undying so far, 4-0 and 3, just under 10,000 gold now, but already got his Rage online to go with the Golden Bow start. So his crit is going to start getting a little out of hand.
This game, to me, is going to come down to the Hunters. PandaCat versus Oceans. Now, obviously, enemy a little bit better overall late game because they have the Kuang as well. But so far in the early and mid game, Oceans and PandaCat have been the 2 best players in this match. They have had beautiful rotations, really well-timed relics. Obviously, Ocean's getting first blood as well, so finding a slight lead, but enemy, they fought back with the Gold Furies.
There we go, Panda against 4, but now he's going to get a teleport in from Marauder to support. Marauder goes aggressive, but gets walled immediately and double tapped. He's still trying to force this, though, with the ultimate. Going to get the stun off on to Lassiz there, who sanctuaried it. Kraken defensively, but there's the follow-up from the ultimate from Guan as well. Still looking for the pressure for Varizial. Finally picks up DaretoCare on the front side. He was trying to zone.
Kuang still has his ult. Oh, he's not going to find anyone, but PandaCat will finish off Oceans, and Marauder, he's just zoning out for fearlessly. You saw in that engagement, PainDeViande dived to the back line. He just kept Allegiance busy while the rest of enemy picked off those 2 players in the front. Oceans falls, DaretoCare falls, and now enemy, they've got a Guan and 5 players sieging up a tier 2.
With a full minion wave too. They did lose 2 towers in the mid lane, but enemy will answer back and take the gold lead here for sure now, especially with those 2 Gold Furies under their belt. There you see 2.6 thousand, experience is 4.6.
Just objective control continues to be phenomenal coming out from the enemy squad. Even though they were losing in kills, they were able to find the first 2 Gold Furies in this match, even up the gold, and then a beautiful engagement and read coming out from anywhere where they had Varizial come up the top side, the rest of the team focus on the players in the mid.
Still trying to siege. The ring goes down from Matty to try and lower the attack speed and keep him pinned. DaretoCare misses his ultimate. Spirit Ball from Khaos connects with DaretoCare, who disengages. Wingus is good damage as PandaCat does help secure the tier 2 tower. Varizial disengages. They're still looking for a little bit more here. Khaos finds one. Panda finds another one. This is not going well for Allegiance all of a sudden.
Allegiance continue to fight into this, but the Guan healing is doing a little bit too much. You can see the taunt come through as Mattypocket finishes off Marauder, but PandaCat, his positioning has been perfect, and he's continuing to find the autos, and he wants to go on Mattypocket.
The shield did come out, though, from Matty. He's going to be able to get away from that one, but what a crazy turn of events. That whole engagement ended 2 tier 2 towers, 2 tier 1 towers, and a plenty more kills.
Just in that last fight, enemy was disengaging. And PandaCat is holding off 3 just with his autos. You saw 4 hit in a row. He gets the beautiful Impale, but not onto Oceans. I believe it was Mattypocket instead. Tries to finish him off. Either way, though, PandaCat has been on point 4-2-2, and now enemy, who were down early, now have a firm grasp on this game. 4,000 in the lead after all of those objectives.
And with those gold spikes, too, just look at the itemization that quickly came on. We've got a finished bulwark for Amaterasu. We've got Run of Tahuti online for Varizial on the Kuang. Obsidian Shard finished for Isis, and Breastplate of Valor being worked on now for PainDeViande just for his cooldown, and Chins comes online for PandaCat.
He didn't even have Chins.
No, that's a big power spike for the whole team there. Huge.
This is a little bit worrying for Allegiance now, especially since Gold Fury has respawned. You can see, you just mentioned, all these items going to give enemy another power spike. Allegiance, I honestly think, should just concede this. Incon is going to try and work his way in, but no, it looks like the team wants to fight. A little bit too late, though. Enemy, they've already secured the Gold Fury. Yeah. And honestly, Incon, he's a little bit out of position. The stun goes through.
The stun does connect with him, but there's no follow from the team. The wall from DaretoCare will zone them off. PainDeViande a little bit out of position. They're going to get taunted back in, but the ring from Maddie is only going to isolate 2 members, but the rest is still giving chase. Varizial looking for blood.
Oh, but he's just out of range. His ultimate was up, but couldn't get anyone low enough. Forced to use Purification there as he's the only one chasing all 5 members. But again, Allegiance really reliant on these player-made walls to get them out of these awkward spots. Not only the wall from Thor, DaretoCare lines it up perfectly, but then the cage from Mattypocket to not allow enemy to keep up the chase. That could have turned real bad if we didn't see those 2 plays happen.
I do like the call from Allegiance here, as we can see the Fire Giant started by enemy, but Allegiance, they've started selling starter items to keep up to date with the itemization coming through from enemy, just to keep them in it, but the Fire Giant is already dead, and the rotation from Oceans is here. Is he going to dunk it is the question. It's risky. He's going to join his front line.
Allegiance are full committing onto this. PandaCat is actually going to jump in the ring, but no follow-up from the rest of Allegiance. Oh, there comes the Kraken. It's going to find 4. Lassiz takes out Panda, and what looked like a good fight for enemy is getting quickly turned around.
We'll see. Khaos goes for the Spirit Ball, doesn't really find it. On the front line is Matty chasing them all out. Bird Bomb does not connect, just the jump actually connects. Matty gets the kill on Khaos. In the back though, Marauder picks off Lassiz and surrounded by 4 now in the mid. Guan's just watching. There's not much PainDeViande can do as he gets walled off. Still looking for the pick onto Marauder, who's trying to get away from the crit damage from Oceans. Purification so beautiful, misses. Can they pick him up?
The team need to find this kill, and it's going to be Incon to secure it. 2 dead on the side, 3 dead on the side of enemy. Somehow Allegiance turn around that Fire Giant. You can see enemy weren't prepared to fight, and Oceans fearlessly dives into all of them. Honestly, the big thing for me, though, was the fact that the first kill in favor of Allegiance was picking off PandaCat.
There's a few things with that. They got the Fire Giant, did enemy. Allegiance killed a couple of them, but they don't get an objective out of it. All they got as a result was a blue buff. They didn't even get the shutdown bonus for Varizial yet, because he's still undying in this game, which is a big impact, and they don't get that much gold out of it. Technically, it's still a net loss for Allegiance. Enemy definitely still in control with Fire Giant on PainDeViande, which will give him mana, which will allow him to continue sustaining his team. And Varizial, who, to be fair, is an insane damage dealer as this game goes on. Yes, at the moment, he's less than 9k, but that'll just get higher.
For me, though, those kills were important because it slowed down enemy's pace, right? Enemy honestly could have won that fight if Panda didn't die at the beginning. He has been the one that has been putting out most of the damage. You could see at the charts, actually not sitting that high. It's mostly been on Khaos and Marauder there, but when Panda's in the fight, you can feel the impact he's having. And now enemy, they lose Fire Giant on 3 members, but also they can't immediately siege up, right? There's no real objectives for them to take outside of this tier 2 tower. And now Allegiance finding a couple kills. It's going to be much closer because of that.
Panda's going to steal that one away with the Impale. I'm pretty certain that went his way. They will get the blue buff. They give it over to Marauder. And now they're going to look for the tier 2 tower on the right-hand side here. Marauder could choose to tank this up thanks to Pain, but Incon going to go in. Taunt onto Marauder. Spirit Ball following up. Not going to connect, however. But that's all she wrote for now. They're waiting for the minion wave to come in. Lassiz is there for defense with that whirlpool.
Not the player you want to taunt. You can see Mattypocket and DaretoCare off to the side here. They don't want to be sitting under the tower. They want to re-engage once enemy's a little bit out of position. DaretoCare, most notably, wanting to just crash down on a target. He's been looking for PandaCat in most of these fights, but PandaCat has honestly read DaretoCare like a book. We've seen him jump every single Thor ult that has come his way.
Little bit concerned of the player damage charts when we check with Allegiance when your support is higher than your solo laner and your jungler. It's not a good sign, which is showing that they're really starting to struggle in this game on trying to find the damage output, which is supporting the team. Yes, Allegiance have the 2 highest damage dealers in the game, but when the rest of your team's at the bottom, below a Guan Yu of all people, which is even crazier.
You can see
But still,
DaretoCare honestly has kind of gone into a little bit more of this frontline tanky character as well. Not only has he gone the breastplate, which is pretty standard now, going max CDR on junglers, but immediately starting to work into that magical protection. I expect a bulwark as well, making sure he can survive the damage coming out from Varizial.
in the jungle, enemy around the fire giant. He's on cooldown for a while, so Allegiance aren't too worried about him being there.
Oh, Dare's caught.
Not really. He's going to be able to jump to his hammer. It is, after all, a hard engage they have to do.
There's
Varizial with the hard engage. Boom goes the dynamite. Deleted is what happened to DaretoCare there. And that was Polynomicon plus a run of Tahuti for you.
I mean, we talked about the front line of DaretoCare, but he didn't seem very front-liney there. Kuang is online.
I mean, that was a 3-4 level difference between the two of them as well, is the big key there. DaretoCare only level 16, Varizial at level 19, and that Polynomicon.
Oh, they're continuing.
That hurt.
You could see enemies starting up their backs there, but even though Gold Fury spawning in 30 seconds, with DaretoCare down, they want to take this fight. This is a man advantage. They still have Fire Giant. Oh no, it just fell off.
Incon goes in, taunts onto 3, but Circle of Protection already down. Impale onto Incon as well, comes out. The burst from the Circle of Protection goes off. Matty in the back though, gets a good bird bomb in. Gonna ring in 2, but it's too little too late. 2 members already dead.
Matty can't do anything by himself. The other 2 members of Allegiance are just trying to get into spawn. DaretoCare, he's gonna respawn, gonna take to the sky. Please don't come crashing down on 4. This is not gonna go well for you.
It doesn't look like he's gonna go well. Purification
Oceans
jumps to his hammer. Oceans dives in too. Whirlpool came up from Lassiz, but holds the Kraken still. Phoenix did fall, however, so enemy got what they came for.
No players below half-life for enemy right now. You can see the Guan Yu going to be able to heal them up continuously. Convictions going off. The shell as well wasn't even used until that end portion of the fight. Enemy honestly somehow managed to hold that, and it could have gone the other way with both Thor and Apollo coming crashing down, but the protections and damage reductions a little bit too much. They can't shred through it.
They got to go for the Gold Fury here, Allegiance, and I think if they were aware of how close it was to Fire Giant to spawning, they could have attempted to rush the Fire Giant right now because the whole side of enemy just recalled. Instead, they will take the gold, which I think is wise, and they're not going to lose Fire Giant, luckily enough, because the whole of enemy back.
This is a much safer call, unless the team doesn't get over to Fire Giant, or maybe, I'm assuming they're conceding Fire Giant. They have the timer on it, so they know it's spawned, and they know no players near it. Okay, so Allegiance have definitely conceded the Fire Giant. Instead, they want to try and hold strong at their Phoenixes. So what they do is they get the guaranteed gold because they know enemy's going to be checking that instead, and they're able to finish some items or look to finish some items. Chin size now online for Oceans. I think probably the most important thing here, considering he's topping the damage charts.
But the big key here is the last engage with the last Phoenix. What you saw is Marauder just went to the back and zoned the damage dealers away, while the rest of the team just cleaned up the Phoenix. If they do that again and Nearly Dare gets picked the same way,
in the same spot,
yeah,
almost in the identical spot. Blue buff going to be dropped here by PandaCat. He's going to pick it up, get a little bit of CDR. And now enemy, they're 5 strong. Fire Giant in tow as well, going to be sieging up the last 2 Phoenixes.
I'm looking for a big Kraken from Lassiz here. He
It
had
has
to
to
hold
hit.
it last time because he just didn't have an opportunity to drop it, but they have to combo this well to get the damage off. Lassiz has some decent output here in terms of damage. Did just finished his Obsidian Shard, but there we go. PainDeViande is going to go ham under the tower. Takes a lot of poke from that one.
He's trapped.
But Incon is cut off. And going to get a lot of poke onto him too. Marauder following it up with the ultimate too, as Varizial gets the execute off onto Incon.
PandaCat
Secures the kill, and Panda gets one. They're going to get a Phoenix as well.
He's going to turn his attention now to Thor as Varizial picks up a double kill, and same does PandaCat. Only 1 player left alive for Allegiance. The enemy, they're going to be walking away 15-13 in kills, 30-minute game time, and they find a win, extending their lead on North America.
Now, the funny thing about that whole game is when you go back to the Tier 1 tower that Allegiance tried to siege up against PandaCat 4v1, that's where the game ended because Marauder comes in with a teleport, they chase them down, they get 2 or 3 kills, as well as Tier 1 tower, Tier 2 tower, go mid, get Tier 1 tower, Tier 2 tower, and by then the gold's just completely in their favor.
Let's take a quick look on how this game started, though. First blood on your screen. I believe it went the way of Allegiance. This was actually the duo lane where PainDeViande and PandaCat a little bit slow at clearing the wave.
I think PainDeViande did not expect the amount of damage that Oceans put out. It was a very good impale from PandaCat. As you said, you were worried that he didn't stay up, but he stayed as far up as he could. With that minion wave coming in.
Curse as well, slowing him, making sure he takes more archer damage and allows Oceans to find those last hits.
Did what he can, but let's have a look at some of the double kills from that game because we saw quite a few. Panda and Varizial are your winners of the double kill scenarios.
This was the last fight. This is PandaCat, just beautiful positioning. Honestly, all game on the left-hand side, and then Varizial going in deep, doing Kuang things, and I think he lands and finishes off Lassiz as well.
Actually, funny, that very first kill that they combined with there, where Varizial got the first kill, it was PandaCat that did most of the damage onto Incon in the original one. and they timed themselves perfectly to pick up a double kill and game one. Allegiance got off to a great start, though. It was just that one mistake over in duo lane that seemed to just lose them the game, really.
And that's the shot calls coming out from enemy, honestly. Not only do they have Varizial cut them off of the top side, but instantly engaging on Lassiz, who was the furthest up. And that was honestly the problem as well. Lassiz coming in, got a couple big Krakens off when he could, but the problem is his positioning in that fight specifically. He was the closest, and he was the easiest one to pick off.
So picks him back.